Hey, look at that. I got my Costco swim trunks on, which of course means I'm going to be doing some land surfing. Hello and welcome. I have been planning or thinking about this video for a very, very long time. At least a few years, let me tell you that. And it always just felt a little bit wrong to do this, indoors in a basement. And I finally realized, right, the perfect place for this. So, welcome. We are on top of a mountain, and I'm going to be sharing with you a little hobby of mine that I've been doing for more than half of my life. So this video is going to be a bit different. I'm just going to be rambling on in a soft-spoken manner about this hobby and the intricacies of it, and also how interesting and complex it can really be. So, before I tell you about this board, I should probably tell you that I first got into longboarding because my friend, he sold me his skateboard for, I think it was $10, and I couldn't do a kickflip. I didn't really want to. I'd take it to the skate park, and I'd just be trying to get the biggest ollies and try and get the top speed that I can hit. And after that, I was introduced to longboarding by YouTube videos. If you were there in the beginning on YouTube, you'd recognize companies like Original, who had springs for trucks, and that got me hooked. So I used the money that I saved up from helping my brother deliver newspapers, and I bought my first longboard, which was off of eBay. I think it was $70. It was a complete. So it came with the wheels, the deck, the trucks. It was a pintail with a green flame on it. And I rode that sucker for at least 5 years. It was the best. You couldn't go too fast or else you'd hit the speed wobbles. But it was just the best. I didn't change anything on it. I kept the original wheels, original bearings, original trucks, and just rode the heck out of it. And I brought it with me everywhere I went. I remember my father being quite cross with me because I'd take it on trips where it had no business really coming with me. And after that, many years later, I got a Christmas present, which was the Land Yacht Spud. So it looks a lot like this board, but it was symmetrical. So you could flip the board around and you could ride forward no matter what. On this board, not so much. You probably don't want to do that. But yeah, it was a Land Yacht Spud. It was red as well. It honestly looked a lot like this, and I rode that one for years and years and years and years. And I just changed the trucks, and I'd upgrade like a few things until I got it in water a few times. So I'd jump across a river and I'd drop it, or I'd do a slide on the beach and the board would fly into the water, and the board just got soggy, and I noticed I couldn't hit top speeds anymore, so I was more so just wobbling everywhere. And the past few years I've been really optimizing and I got 2 boards. I still have a skateboard and all my old decks and stuff like that. And sometimes I'll swap out a bushing or like borrow a bushing from a different board, or a washer, or a bearing if something goes wrong. So that's my everything board. It's got massive wheels. It's really fun to ride. It's really, really hard to not have a super fun, fantastic time. Then this board. This is a very recent addition. I got this last year because everybody who was into going fast recommended a super thin, flat board. And yeah, this is the one I take when I'm going downhill somewhere here and I gotta make a lot of really tight turns and stuff like that. So, PJ, I get it. Those are some cool boards. You're in your element, but also completely out of it because there's mosquitoes, and I'm worried a couple is just gonna stumble upon me with all this stuff, and they're gonna be very, very confused. So I'm gonna try and calm down and explain to you why I think longboarding is very well connected to ASMR for me, and that really isn't a stretch when I say it. So I know a lot of people can probably relate to this, but I find it incredibly difficult to, there you go, to be present. I'm always outside of my head and thinking about what's going on here, what I'm going to be doing next, and I'm almost never, ever thinking about the present moment. And one of the few places where I'm 100% focused on the now and thinking about nothing else is when I longboard. So there are some exceptions for that. Surfing, swimming, but things like running just do not do the same thing. When I run, I zone out and I start thinking about other things. But when I'm flying down a hill and I gotta watch out for pedestrians and cars and really have the mindset that like there's mines on the road and I gotta dodge them, there's nothing I can do other than be 1000% focused on my surroundings. And every time I finish longboarding, it really feels like I just watched a bunch of ASMR. Like I'm really calm, collected, positive, happy, refreshed. And yeah, there's not a lot of times in my life where I feel like I'm being present. And yeah, I do want to mention a few things. Stuff like, like with these boards, these are pretty small wheels. So these are 75 millimeters, and they're Powell Peralta, something like that. But these wheels are discontinued. They haven't made them in at least 2 years. But I love them because they're the biggest, blackest, and strongest, highest durometer wheel that they've really sold in a long time. And Powell makes really, really fantastic wheels. And with these, you can go pretty fast. Of course, I am always going the speed limit. A couple days ago, somebody actually stopped me and asked if I was going the speed limit. And I said, usually. They just gave me the surfer symbol, so that was pretty cool. I doubt they'll be watching this video, but if you are, I appreciate and I respect. There's just a few mosquitoes. And then I have these new trucks this whole board, I really don't ride much because I don't drive out and go downhill much. I'm mainly just longboarding around my house, which means pushing a lot and then finding a hill and going down it. And this board I find actually pretty difficult to push. So I'll tell you about this board and you'll notice immediately how much more passionate I am about the other board. So let's run through it quickly. These are Bear Grizzly trucks. They're 40 millimeter base plate angle. So that's the angle in which the wheels are relative to the base plate. And the axle is 130 millimeters. And then the bushings. The top bushing is a bones bushing. It's called an eliminator, but I love it because it has a plastic insert. So all other bushings, they're just, I guess you could say it's a rubber, but really it's a polyurethane cylinder with a hole in the middle. And when you lean, you're pushing onto that bushing, and it's your suspension really. And I find when it's just the cylindrical polyurethane mix, I find that it's flopping around a lot more, and I'm wearing out my washers more, and just a lot more troubles happen. So for the past year or so, I've been using these bushings, which have a plastic insert, and they don't wiggle around at all, and then you can use a very, very simple washer. On the inside, I'm using the stock bushings, which are, I think it's 90A. I don't know what the bones are, but you can tell by the color if you want to do the research. And yeah, different washer from a different set of trucks, different hardware from a different store, Gorilla tape underneath the trucks because I think it makes it better, and the exact setup on the back. On this board in particular, I'm doing something that is a little bit frowned upon, and I personally don't recommend, but I've gotten used to it, so that is just how I get down. But what I did here is I flipped the hanger. So by flipping the hanger, you're able to get the truck to lay even more flat, so it's closer to the board, and you get a stronger angle than advertised. So I'm guessing it's somewhere between 32 and 35 degrees now, which makes it a lot more stable, and you turn a lot less, and yeah, it's just better when you're going fast. And this is my fast board where I'm going down a hill and the hill's in control, so I got to be able to stand on the board and not fall off. So that's this board. Before I forget, I don't know how well you can see that custom fabricated top mount. I did some Reddit searching, and I can't find what this is called or if anybody sells it, but when I'd screw my trucks to my board, I'd notice that the screws would just kind of sink right through, and the more I screwed it, the more it would sink in, and I just felt like I was breaking the board, very, very quickly. So here I got this from an old computer case. I just cut it out, filed it, drilled some holes, and now I can screw it down as tight as possible, but the weight is evenly distributed. If this was even thicker metal, I think that'd be better, but it would kind of be obtrusive, so my foot wouldn't get a good plant right here. Oh, and the bearings. I changed these out recently. I run some pretty hardcore bearings on my other board, but these are just Bronson Speedco G2s. They're steel ball bearing, and you honestly can't run it too long before it really breaks down. So Really cool board, super lightweight, made in Montreal. Carbon fiber, but not so really. And I've already managed to take a chunk out of the carbon fiber. So, yeah, that's that board. Dude, I can't believe it's been as quiet as it's been here. So let's talk about what I like to call the Holy Grail. When I go out around the town, I'm going faster than bikes, going faster than skateboarders, other longboarders, and that's for a few reasons that I'll hopefully explain a little bit right now. So, my favorite part and the most important part are the wheels. So I'm running Evolve skateboard wheels. They're for electric longboards, but you can just use it for a regular longboard as well. And I got them because they are 97 millimeters big. They're very, very, very big. Typically, anyone who's longboarding, they're between 65 millimeters to like 85 is the max. So these are 97s. I'd go more, but as you can see, it would start hitting. Here, you'll see this side better. Did I paint? No, it was this side. Okay, so maybe it's just difficult to see on camera, but when I carve, the wheel will rub up against the board. And so if I get even bigger wheels, they're just definitely gonna rub up. And what I've already done is I filed this down and then just painted it black so the wood was better protected. Okay, I'm getting too excited. So those are the wheels. That is how you get a higher top speed. A lot of longboarders and downhillists, they're very purist towards smaller wheels. They are better when you're going really fast or down a very steep hill because you have more control and you don't hit that top speed, so you don't really want to go too fast when you're going down a very steep hill. And also smaller wheels do slide better. That is true. These big wheels, when I hit a slide, it's iffy. Like 80% of the time I got it, and then 20% of the time if I'm not 100% feeling it, I'm falling. So yeah, the bearings. So that's what makes them spin so long, and typically pretty quietly, but these are a little bit old. They've got at least 100 kilometers on them. But these are seismic 7-ball ceramic bearings, and they're quite expensive. Understand that I longboard almost every single day of my life, and I have been, and every day that it's sunny and there's no snow or rain, I longboard. If I gotta get somewhere that's pretty close, I'll longboard. I'll save the trip with the car and a longboard. And so yeah, that's the disclaimer for you to hopefully understand. If you take these bearings and then divide them by the amount of days that I've ridden them, they're pennies on the dollar, right? And if I got cheaper bearings, then they'd simply break down faster and have to buy them more frequently. So these seismic bearings, I think they're like $100. So definitely a pretty penny. But for me, I'm going down a hill. I want to make sure that I'm safe and that I can trust my longboard. And then the trucks, I've had these trucks for 3 years now. I don't think they make them anymore. I peruse websites once in a while to see what kind of trucks these stores have again, and I never ever see these anymore. But these are a Paris Savant. They're also quite pricey, and that's because they are cast. And I won't say they're aluminum because I'm not sure, but it's not steel. It's a very strong metal that's very corrosion resistant. And yeah, they're expensive because they're very precise, and they're very strong. And yeah, you just know that what you're getting is 100% what you ordered. Now, funny enough, for 90% of these bearings lives, I ran them with the trucks flipped as well. And only the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, have I flipped them back correctly, because I didn't notice. When you flip the hanger, the deeper end goes towards the board, and then the washer has potential of hitting this. And I knew it was hitting a bit, but it wasn't until I really took a good look at it that I noticed it was completely demolishing it. So it was digging in and scoring the truck surface. And I'm sure that was making noise, but I couldn't tell because I had music playing all the time. And it was probably making it less stable, less like of a comfortable turn. So that's no bueno, you know. And then the bushings on here, both of them are the Bones Eliminator barrel insert bushing. So yeah, it's really good, really soft bushing, but because it's got that insert, you can, I don't know, it's soft, so you can turn a lot, but it's still stable because it's not all floppy all over the place. I hope that makes sense. And then these are the first ever truck top mount base plates that I've made, and I just haven't had to change them because they were really good. I also got them from a computer case that I cannibalized, just cut, drilled, and put the screws through. These screws I don't like as much as, I know, both are Phillips head. I'm really an Allen key kind of guy, and I don't know why the other board doesn't have, Allen screws. I could have sworn I had them. Maybe I changed them recently and I don't remember. There had to be a reason. But regardless, really good screws, really tough, and you just gotta make sure you tighten them down once in a while. I guess there's really not much more to say. Exact same thing on the back. The cool thing about this board, the very cool, interesting thing, I know you're finding this so interesting, is the design of the board. So if you look closely, but not too close, you'll be able to tell one side goes down and the other side goes up. So the side that goes down is your rear, and the side that goes up is your front. And if you think about, once again, the angles of your trucks, then if this is tilted up, then your angles, or the angle of your truck, is a higher degree. So now these 43 angle base plates are acting more like a 50. And then the opposite happens for the rear. These 43s become maybe a 35, a 37, and that's because of the design. I guess the one thing I don't love about the board is you do have to run it one way. Yeah, there's like no choice. You just have to run it one way. If you run it the other way, you're gonna speed wobble, going 20 kilometers per hour. There's something else I wanted to mention about the shape and me not loving it. Whatever. I also don't like how thick the board is. So I wish they made this board as well, but in carbon fiber. And I bothered Zenith, the guys in Montreal, if they can make one. And I don't know, we'll see. That would be really, really cool. I just don't like how heavy it is. I'm really weird about keeping things simple and light and small. But yeah, apart from that, I don't think I'm going to be buying new boards anytime soon. This is the board I run 95% of the time. The other board's gotten a lot of action, but, compared to how many kilometers I've done on this, It's no question. This board is my favorite. I can take it down any hill, any time of any day, and I know it's got my back. The other one is just if I'm trying to have a lot of fun and there's like no wind that I have to worry about, but pushing on this and riding is really, really easy. Also because it is a drop deck, so this part of the board is lower than this part. That means you're lower to the ground, which means your foot doesn't have to move as low to push off the ground. And that is important because if you're going on a long trip, which I've gone weekend trips before, with just the longboard, and I mean like 80 kilometers, right? So that's thousands and thousands of steps you have to take. And if it's 2 inches shorter of travel, you are saving your spine, your leg, your hips, a lot of unnecessary movement. So I would never, ever take a flat board to go long distance. It's this board or nothing, that's for sure. So, I really don't follow the scene too much. There's a few channels I follow, but I think I've just noticed more people longboarding as of late. Let me know if something's happened in the news or something like that, but longboarding had like its popularity that really happened, and where everybody heard about it and started to talk about it was when I kind of discovered it. So that was like 2006, 2007, and then it just kind of dwindled, and I didn't notice anybody else longboarding for years and years and years. And whenever people saw me longboarding, they'd be like, whoa, what is that? We've never seen that. We're not sure what that is. And now I'm noticing there's a ton of people. Anytime I go out, there's people throwing up gang signs at me, thinking that we're homies, and we could be homies, but I don't really know you. There's a ton of people on the road longboarding. So I don't know if it's gotten popular again. I hope it has, but I also hope it hasn't, because I've noticed finding parts is a lot more difficult lately. Why is my shutter speed? There you go. Fixed it. Look at that motion. There's no green screen here. Look at that. It's real. It's realsies. Okay. That's the video. I hope I've explained my hobby, my passion a little bit to you guys. Maybe to get you interested in longboarding. Almost forgot. The most important thing. Got a big old hiking backpack with me tonight here. But the most important thing that I want to preach is I always wear a helmet. I think I've shown this on the channel before just to make sounds with. But fake scratch on top, just so I don't look like a poser. And the helmet's actually a little bit modified. So the padding was too thick, and so I cut it by half, and now it just fits on my head a little bit better, goes a little bit deeper. And here I taped up the 2 front holes. You can't see through it. That's just because I didn't like the wind going through there. And I noticed on the drive here when I was thinking about it that I should definitely put the tape on this side, because that would limit more drag, because wind goes in here and it can't come out, and it's probably making an annoying sound too. So I'm going to tape this up as soon as I can on the outside. But yeah, always wear a helmet. I've never fallen. I probably should have mentioned this earlier. I've fallen a few times, but I've only fallen when going slow and when there's sand. So I've never fallen when I was going fast. I've never hit my head. I've never broken a bone longboarding. I haven't fallen off my board in like 2 years. And, I'm sliding with no gloves and taking turns going like 30, 40 kilometers per hour. So I'm very safe. But just in case, I know my helmet's got my back, and I don't have to worry about that aspect. I only started wearing a helmet really recently, and I noticed, when I thought about it, that I'm just so much more comfortable and confident when I've got a helmet. Now when I go biking, or really anything remotely physically active, I'm taking this helmet. It's actually pretty embarrassing for the people who are with me, because we'll just be leisurely biking through town on like little bikes that you can't go fast on, like pedaling, bicycle, and I'll have my big helmet on. But safety first, that's the most important thing. I do not know if this video turned out well. If it didn't, it sucks to be me, I guess. But I had a lot of fun making it. I hope you enjoyed the view. I'm gonna get some behind the scenes shots now, just so you can enjoy the nature more. So there might be like 5 minutes of nature sounds at the end of this video. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Good night.